Yeah.
All right, hello everybody. My name's Richard. I work for the club on match days. If Albion fans may see me doing nonsense on the big screens on match days, and I work for Seagulls TV, etc. We're really pleased that these three gentlemen can be with us, and we're pleased that you can be with us from the university as well. All Albion fans, which is great. Nice bobble hat. Well done, Ola. Well done, Ola. There's a young man at the back there called Nick who's got a camera, and he's filming the whole thing, and you guys are going to do some work with whatever comes out of there, which is why I've got a microphone, why they boys have got a microphone up here, and why we're going to give you the microphone, so you'll have to speak nicely when you ask your questions and everything, okay? But let me introduce you to who you've got here. I'm sure you all know, but starting at the far end here, we've got our first summer signing from last year's transfer window. He made his debut for us in our brilliant 3-2 win over Manchester United, and also cemented himself in the Albion record books by scoring against Crystal Palace after 25 seconds of coming on the pitch. It was just brilliant. Please welcome Leon Balogun, everybody. This guy in the end here has been with us since 2014 and very quickly established himself as our midfield general, our bully in the middle. The guy who does all the hard work and takes none of the credit for it. He also scored against Crystal Palace, which is great news, but considering the match we got the weekend, knocking them out of the FA Cup last year. So great. Let's have a round of applause for Dale Stephens. And the guy in the middle, I have no idea who he is. Been with us forever, and is our club captain. Fantastic guy. He'll hate me for saying it, but he is the oldest player, outfield player in the Premier League. But he's fitter, but you're fitter than most 18-year-olds, there's no doubt about that. Away from the football pitch, he's also just about one of the nicest human beings you can ever meet. So let's have a round of applause for Bruno.
Thank you.
Right, so you've had a lovely tour round, and you've seen the fantastic world-class facilities that we've got here, which enables us to bring international players along. Of course, Leon played in all 3 matches in the World Cup for Nigeria, which is, I'm sure maybe you might want to ask him about, an incredible experience for a young man, and also means he's got one of the coolest football strips somewhere in a drawer somewhere that everybody wants. So this incredible facility has helped us bring some fantastic players along to this wonderful football club. And so you've seen round and you see what they've been up to. The boys have been training today, they've had meetings, they've had the lunch, and of course there is a big match coming up on Saturday against a certain Crystal Palace. Okay, so you might want to mention that as well. But we'll just get into your questions, and feel free. We'll go round you all with one question each, and then you can have some questions afterwards. So I'm going to ask Marco to stand up. Marco's got a question about playing at the Amex.
Hello, I'm Marco. My question is, how do you feel when you enter in the pitch, when you play in front of so many people, and maybe when you score, or like for you, Bruno, when everyone shouts your name during the match?
No, of course it feels really, really nice. I mean, it's unbelievable, especially, for the last couple of seasons, 3 seasons, we've been like almost full house every single home game. And since we are in the Premier League, even it means more, this club has never been in the Premier League. For me, it was a special moment, when we walk in to the pitch against City last season, and of course when they singing your name, that's really special for all the players. To have that support from the fans, it's so important.
Some people often ask, you're in the moment, you're in the match, you're playing your game. Can you actually hear what's going on?
Not all the time. It's like just sometimes, like you are in that zone, like you're trying to have that flow, and it's difficult to hear it. But of course, when you're scoring or when like you're doing like good things, you always have some breaks during the game that you can like feel that atmosphere, like when it's like electric atmosphere, that's like so important for us.
Okay, fantastic. Let's move on to Caitlin's question. Okay, another one for the skipper. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Caitlin. My question is for Bruno. So how does it compare playing in this country compared to Spain? Because surely it can't be the weather.
Yeah, that's one
That
of the
makes it
things. Yeah,
better.
yeah. Of course, it's for me was a challenge because there are like a lot of things, different things. Of course, for me, language it was the first thing. I didn't speak any English, and I remember being in a hotel with my missus and 2 kids eating every day chicken because it was the only thing that we could understand on the menu. But after, you know, I had an English teacher and helped me quite a lot, and that was one of the first like barriers. But after, in terms of football, it's quite different. It's more physical. Sorry. The pace, the power of the players, it's much more than in Spain. Spain is, I think, more like technical and tactical, and it takes a while to adapt yourself. But of course, for me, the main thing is to be like open mind, you know, and adapt yourself with everything, and food as well. You know, it's quite different, Spain and England. But yeah, it's about your attitude. Everything is about attitude. You know, if you come in here with an open mind and a good attitude, you settle down really fast.
And Leon, what about you? I mean, you came from Germany. Have you noticed a difference in the German league and the Premier League?
I'd say the biggest difference is probably tactical as well, because the Germans, they love their tactics. Not like Italians, but still do. But just like Bruno said, it's much more paceful, powerful, more physical, the football. But I think that's also where it gets exciting more, because it goes up and down basically all the time. And I think that's why the Premier League is so big all over the world as well.
In that case, would you say that a Premier League footballer's fitter? Do you have to be fitter in the Premier League than you have to be in?
Not necessarily, no.
No, I don't think it's just
constant.
they big.
Yeah.
They so I mean the size of the players, the how fast. It's just, it doesn't mean like you have to, because if you check like maybe like in Germany, they run a lot as well every single game. You know, it's crazy. I mean, and they work so hard, and you sometimes maybe they fitter in Germany than in terms of like how much you run. But it's just the contact. You know, it's the contact. How the refs they allowed, you know, like to play harder. That's one of the difference.
I think if you look at my body shape and physique, I'm far bigger than both of these two, far quicker than both of these two. So I'm a prime example for a Premier League football player.
Exactly how it's done. Well, we just touched on tactics there. This is a really daft question, but it drives me mad. Can you just tell when there's a sub, what's going on with the iPad? What are you looking at on the what are you being pointed
Set
out?
pieces, isn't it?
Is it like who you're going to pick up, or is it this is where I want you to be on an offensive? It's our free kick. This is where you should.
Yeah, it's both. We have that little sheets in the change room before the game. It's obviously got every player set out for every obviously different role and responsibility. And it's just that. It's obviously if Leon's coming on for me or whatever, he'll just take my place in the iPad. It's quite straightforward.
There you are. What did we do before that? Just go out and play.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. All right. Let's speak to Nick. Where's Nick? Yes, Nick's got a question for you, Dale.
Yeah, so this is for Dale and also Bruno as well. In the last, you guys have been here for quite a while. So what do you think the biggest changes have been at the club since you guys have been here? And why do you think that's kind of lent itself to the club witnessing the kind of success that they have in the last few years?
I think obviously the obvious one is the progression from, was you in League One?
Me?
Was you in League One? No. But obviously for the club to come so far in up every division as well. I was here when we was in the Championship, obviously in the old training ground as well. To see that side of things, it's improved massively. But like I said, the level of football obviously is improved as well alongside it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've been signing better and better players, and of course the Premier League gives you that platform, no, to bring better players. But I've been seeing since I came, how the club. We had a few chances for the last few years to get promoted, and we didn't. We had playoffs, but I think we got promoted in the right time when we had everything ready. Like good basics, and everyone was ready to be in the Premier League. And I think we've shown, you know, like last year we had a great season, and now this season we are in a good position again to stay up. I mean, that's how the club, from up top, like chairman and, you know, chief executive and players, you know, coaches, and been working really hard.
I'm trying to work out. Were you guys? You weren't. Did you do with Dean?
No.
No.
We did it on Wednesdays for the training.
Do you mean training?
No, I mean.
No, not playing,
play
but training. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Because on Wednesdays we were
Yes.
training at the university, and we weren't allowed to be there.
That was the thing as well. Yeah.
That
just
was
training at the up at the university. Yeah. And now look at this. Incredible.
Sure, isn't it?
Good stuff. Right, George has got loads of questions, but we'll let's start with a couple about the. If you stand up, George. About the Joker in the pack. Let's start with that one.
Yeah, obviously a lot of you all seem like you've got a bit of character about you, so I just wanted to know who like the funniest person you think in the changing room is, and.
Who would you say it is?
Well, I think you've got a bit about you, so I'll probably say you, to be honest. But
No, I'm not. It's not me. I think the biggest clown. He's not always funny, but the biggest clown is Nocky.
He could be
Sometimes he's funny.
He's funny and annoying sometimes. You know, he's at the same.
But he gets away with it. Just the character he is.
Yeah.
Like you might have met him, I'm not sure, but you know he's very upbeat. Most days he's good to have around the place.
Is it generally fun, Leon? I mean, it's hard work, what you do, you know. It's a great job to have. So 99% of the people in the world would like to do your job. But do you come to work and have fun?
Normally, yes. But to be honest, I mean, it's still a job. So I'm not going to lie, there will be days where you feel like, oh, it's hard today. But once you're in the dressing room with the lads, it's always funny. We always have a good time, normally. And he just mentioned one. Dale sometimes has a good day as well. But I think in general we are a good group, funny group, and yeah, we know when to switch on as well. So
I don't know why I just assumed that Shane would be just
You'd be
daft
right,
all
yeah.
the time.
As well, yeah.
Just funny all the time.
I think we've got a good blend, especially we've got obviously a lot of nationalities now as well. You know, they're quite easy to make fun of, which is quite nice.
Of course. All right then, let's move on. Orla, let's have a question from you.
My question's for Bruno. It's how do you feel about the El Capitan graffiti that was done of you in town a little while ago?
I'm proper jealous about it.
honestly, that's sick.
Yeah,
Seriously,
it's unbelievable. To be honest, I realized because a lot of people through social media they start sending me pictures, and I thought it was a joke. You know, I thought like because no one like told me before like anything about it, and it's just like. Seriously, I try to do when I'm walking into the lanes. I try to I feel embarrassed, you know. And if I'm walking, I'm just like not trying to don't look to the graffiti. But it's so cool. I'm so grateful, you know, the way I mean, coming from like another country, another culture, and you know, like I feel like home, you know. And it feels really good.
And even when the boys are on a night out, they've got the captain staring down at them in the middle of the lanes.
To be honest, it was one of the first things I sent him. I walked through the lanes. I don't know, I was here for 3 days or something, and I said, okay, so now who's the chief in town? Huh?
He's the king of the city, I tell you, king. Neil, let's have a question. Neil, let's talk about last summer and Russia, so we know who this is going to be aimed at.
Yeah, it was a question for Leon. What was it like to play at the World Cup last summer?
It's crazy. Unreal, actually. I think now, almost 5 years ago, I was, I think, at the verge. Like a lot of critics and journalists in Germany thought my career was over because I broke my foot, was without a club because I didn't get an extension, and I don't know, 4 years later, I'm there in summer in Russia playing the World Cup against Croatia, who made it to the finals against Argentina with the best player in the world. It was absolutely unreal, and I enjoyed every second.
Was it hard?
Hard? No, man.
Messi. Who's Messi?
Oh, yeah, who's Messi? That's what I said before. Who is he? I said, do you know who I am? He said no.
Did he say, I want one of those shirts? Can you get me some of those shirts?
That's me. So here comes you now, Lil Messi. No. Yeah, we swapped shirts after. I don't know if you've seen, there was our goalkeeper, our second goalkeeper actually. He was waiting for him after the game in the tunnel. So he came before me, but then I spoke to him after and he said he still got his one from the first half. So we swapped.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, well done. And again, you know, you're a professional, you've played on big stages, big games. Is there an extra level of nervousness, excitement when you're lining up with an anthem?
To be honest, I was, I think, as calm as I could have ever been. I don't even know why. Before the World Cup, yes, like before we would go to Russia, but just in that moment, I just enjoyed, I think. The atmosphere against Argentina, the last game, was a bit intimidating because it was, I think, the stadium fit like 80,000 and probably 79,000 were Argentinian. It was just blue-white everywhere.
Nigeria too far, mate.
Bro, Nigerians are everywhere, believe me. Everywhere. We've been there with the traditional clothes, everything was nice, but no, it was an amazing experience, especially that game, just with a very unfortunate end.
And a lot of people before the World Cup thought that it was going to be terrible, that Russia, it would be badly organised, and you know, but it just turned out to be wonderful. How was it for your team?
No, it was nice.
Facilities?
Yeah, the hotel we went to was all right. It was a bit far away from the games, so we always had to fly. No, but the organisation was amazing, everything. Whether it be having friends come over or your family, they took care of us very well. I think every team had like 2 or 3 assistants, if you want to call them so, who looked after the teams, and like if you needed something as a player, like I don't know, some players asked for some sweets or whatever, they would just go and get it. So yeah, we were taken care very well of.
Imagine that. Imagine having 3 Gibbos. Hi, Gibbo.
Absolutely no chance.
No, they weren't as good as Gibbo though.
That man there is the main man.
Yeah.
The man sitting down there, that's
He's the
Gibbo.
main man.
I'm not. I'm the main man for sweets.
Right, Robbie. Where's Robbie? Robbie. Right at the back. I'm going to come around the back. Robbie's got a question about last Saturday, so ask Dale about that.
Hi there. Yeah, this question's aimed at Dale. I'm just wondering, how good was it for the morale of the squad to get your first victory of 2019?
Yeah, it was big for us. You know, we was aware of, you know, the way we started the year. You know, we actually had a meeting last week and saying, obviously, you know, it's not good enough for the team or the quality of player that we have. You know, I think it went to show with, you know, performance that we put on at the weekend. You know, it was absolutely an important game for us. You know, playing against a club who's towards the bottom as well, and you know, I think we showed that, you know, that's what we've got to do from now to the end of the season.
Your performance was fantastic on Saturday. Well done.
Thank you.
At last. I know. No, but I was going to ask, as I mentioned in the intro to you, you just do the grunt work, the hard work, the blocking, the tackling, the shoring everything up. Does it annoy you that you know the Knockies and the Sollies and the Jose's get all the man of the match and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, but they're better players than me. You know, I get that. You know, when I was a supporter of football, and you know, I used to watch Bolton as a kid. You know, it was always JJ Okocha. You know, he was.
There you go.
There you go. Top player. You know, no one really noticed the Campos or whatever. No, and that's what I am. I'm happy to fill that role, and you know, that's just my role in the team.
But that's one of the keys from our success. You know, like is our basics. We try to talk like once a while about to keep our basics right. You know, because it's been, as I said, the key of success. And when we playing, and Dale is one like clear example. You know, you're thinking about the team first over any like performance or whatever. You know, like he's trying to give or to pass the ball as fast as possible to the wingers, to have time to have the 1-against-1 or score. You know, that's really important, and that's why we, for the last few years, we've been where we've been, like top of everything in Championship and in Premier League.
Oh, you're brilliant at it. Don't get injured again. Stop it.
Don't curse me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Right, where's Ryan? Ryan, let's have a question a lot of people I think would want to know the answer to about the manager.
Oh yeah.
You had another question, no?
Yeah, I did. I forgot. So in the change room, I was wondering, with the current form there was before the Huddersfield game, what was Chris kind of like in the changing room at like half-time games? So if it wasn't, was it great or was it kind of quite dull and having a go?
No, he can be angry. I think if you ever met him, obviously he's a calm character, but he gets his point across quite clearly. If things are not going well, yeah, obviously he's not been happy with results, but I don't think we've played that bad in terms of performances. But yeah, like I say, he's very, very clear if you're not doing your job.
Yeah, I mean, it's as he said, he's like a calm manager, but you know, he shows his character when he has to. You know, he's got experience and he knows how to read the game, and when we need like to go soft or when, you know, it has to be hard, you know, and that's important.
Do the modern day managers still do the half-time chat, the rant, or, you know, whether it's a rant or not? Do they come in, or is it more amongst the players to talk about what's happening and what to do, or do you just sit there and wait for him to come in and tell you stuff?
I think it's initially players. I think the manager takes a few minutes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because of course you have all these analysts now, don't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at half-time you get to see all sorts of stuff, don't you?
You must be sure.
But you don't have a pattern because every game is different.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like sometimes maybe you need, you know, like to focus in the energy levels. Sometimes you need to focus in the tactics. Sometimes you need to focus in, you know, like every game is different. That's why it's not an easy game.
Yeah. Okay. Fabrice, what do we got?
Actually, I got 3 questions, one for each. Yeah?
Here we go.
Alright, okay, the first one for Leon. I mean, playing at professional level in Europe, I mean, is there any difference between Europe and Nigeria? And if there is, I mean, do you take that experience there and then try and implement or teach your teammate there?
In Nigeria?
Yeah.
Bits sometimes. I mean, depends on where they play, but we always had big players in Nigeria, coming from Nigeria. So they've obviously played in the Premier League. Some played in Germany, France, all over the world actually. So they know what they have to do. I think if you play against African teams, what you see a lot is maybe it's not that tactical discipline that much as you're used to in Europe, but it's very, very physical always. I mean, you have the weather conditions, and then you obviously have the physical aspects that all the players bring to the table. So it's tough, but I think if you have some experience, you can always manage. Probably the biggest difference is the pace. Like the Premier League, you have some very, very quick players, but when I just think of my teammates in Nigeria, I mean, they consider me in Nigeria, they consider me slow, and I wouldn't say I'm slow, seriously, but there I'm slow. So.
Okay, and the next one for Dale. I mean, you don't want to do all the dirty work, all of this tackle, you break the other team. And I mean, do your teammate appreciate your job that you do? Like, do you have some time where after a game they come to you, oh, thank you, you don't.
No, they don't thank me at all.
They never.
No. Yeah, they understand. They understand the role that I have to play. You know, I think you can see with obviously the amount of games that I've played for this club. You know, the manager appreciates it. The coaching staff obviously appreciate it, and like I say, I'm obviously happy to play. You know, and do a lot of the running for the other players.
And lastly for Bruno, obviously you're the captain, and I mean, have you always been a natural leader, or is this something that you worked on, or is this something that came with experience?
I think, of course, like, to be a leader, I think it's something natural, but as well, there are different ways to be a leader, and I think my way, and that's my opinion, has been trying to lead by example. You know, just trying to do the right things always. You know, like in training, in the changing room, outside of the pitch, as well, because, you know, I'm older than most of them, or all of them, no most, all of them. And you know, it's not because I know more than them, it's because I've been in those situations before. I always, of course, try to, if I can help, with whatever, to try to give my opinion. But being a leader, I think it's that there are different ways. I've been with different captains, and some of them is more about shouting or like talk.
Gigi.
James,
for example.
Yeah. For example, and other they're just leading about performances when tough times they come in. Like tough games, and they always show their quality in those games. I think there's different ways to, but I think you can become a leader as well. You don't have to. They are natural leaders, but after there are another leaders that they become, they make themselves.
Good questions, thank you. Right, that's the list of names I've got here. There's notes a couple of people haven't asked. So who are you? Thomas, stand up and ask a question. Yeah, go for it.
So I got a question for Leon. So you said you were a free agent at some point, and then I think Darmstadt took you. So was it hard to stay motivated during the time and stay positive?
Not really.
No.
I think I spoke about that recently to a friend of mine, because he was just reminiscing how I remained calm actually. I think I was without a club for 3 or 4 months, and my parents, like everybody, was shaking, like, Leon, what you gonna do? Maybe going to university, you need security. And I was just like, no, just stay calm. I took a personal trainer to remain fit, to get my foot back on track as well. And I was very calm. I don't know where I got it from. I was just very, very positive about getting a club, and then I think Darmstadt was actually some kind of a miracle, because at the end of the season we got promoted, and story went on from there.
I think it's everyone's, it'd be my worst nightmare. I'd be complete opposite, I think.
As I said, I don't even know. I was just super calm. I was happy to be in Berlin after 6 years, I think, of being away. So I was with my family all day, with my friends every day, and I made the most out of the time, and I was just very confident about getting back again. So that's what happened.
Well done. Great attitude there. I know you all have loads more questions, so we'll throw it out as a bit of a free-for-all in a moment, but let's just might preempt some of these by talking about the match that's coming up on Saturday, because it's interesting to have 2 goal scorers against Palace. Hopefully this weekend. Okay, so let's start with, Bruno, as the captain, and we talked about your mural and when those wonderful people from Croydon came down and threw a load of paint over that. Does this rivalry that's so bitter for the fans, as a player, is it just another match for you?
You try. I mean, you try to play as another match, because sometimes if you let that tension to get inside you maybe you're not gonna play your own game. But of course sometimes it's difficult to just get away, because all of us we've got friends that they're Brighton fans, and they just texting you, or come on this weekend, if we beat them, that the season is it's done. But we try to just keep calm, focus, and of course play our best game.
I mean, I don't want to talk too much about Crystal Palace, but they have a couple of outstanding players, really, really good players. And Dale, when someone like Zaha's on the pitch, what's the deal? Just don't let him, don't leave his side, or
where's this going?
Yeah. But make sure he knows you're on the pitch.
Obviously you want him to have less influence as you can. He's obviously one of the best players. It takes a lot of responsibility. I'm sure Bruno knows more about it than I do, but obviously you need to keep him quiet as possible, and you got to do that in any way you can.
Good. And Leon, let's talk through 25 seconds on the pitch. Bang. Let's talk us through the goal first.
I really know what to say. It happened quite quickly.
Was it off the iPad? Go and stand there.
No, it was off his shin.
I actually didn't do what I was supposed to do, I think, on the iPad. I just saw the ball coming, and it was a bad corner actually. It came too low, and I just tried to anticipate the deflection, and then I had a lucky day, I guess.
And do you realise that it does sort of cement you into the history of this football club?
Afterwards, yeah. I mean, I was told about the meaning of this derby, but then again, I'm just new to this team. It was my first derby. I've played derbies before, but like, if you're not really in there, then probably you're not as affected as maybe Adele or other English players as well, who know about all the history. But I knew about the importance, and then afterwards I was told, like, okay, that was pretty amazing. Then plus the fact that it was just 25 seconds. Yeah, it was how you say? Memorable?
Memorable, yeah. Brilliant. Well done. All right, so we've got the boys for a few more minutes. So free for alls, hands up, whatever you want to do. Who's got the next one? You're nearest, Thomas. We can do this one.
Okay, this is for Bruno. So you seem to be like a good communicator. You think you will be a coach at some point, like in Spain or England, maybe?
That's one of the main questions, you know, especially because I'm getting to, you know, like close to end of my career, you know, and of course is
Sure.
one of the things. But I think coaching has been changing so much, you know. If you see the amount of hours that the coach they spend up there is just crazy, you know. I mean, they're spending all day long there, and I think if you do something that is gonna demand you like that much, you have to find that passion, you know. Right now I don't know yet, you know, to be honest. I will do my coaching license. Most of the former players they say that when you start in your coaching license, you realize if you like it or if you don't like it. But I love football, you know. I mean I love talking about football and tactics, and you know, and it could be one of the ways.
Yeah, you can't turn the TV on without a former Brighton player being on it now, can you? Everyone's doing the
Sorry about
media.
it. Yeah.
I mean, if Sidwell can do it, you know, come on. Anyone else? Right, let's go back here then.
It's a question to like all of you guys. Obviously, Leon, you said about playing against Messi being the best player you've played against. What about you, Dale and Bruno? Best player you two have played against?
Messi.
Messi?
Yeah.
You can't trump me like that.
Is that it? Is he really, I mean, that good?
It's a nightmare. Seriously, it's a nightmare. I played as a left back. The manager, who is actual Arsenal manager. We were playing against Barcelona, and I played as a left back. He said, "You're gonna play as a left back, marking Messi." I said, "Fuck."
You're going to mark Messi on the wrong side of the pitch.
And listen, it was a nightmare. I was lucky that it was the first game after international break, and I think I don't know how many kilometers he made. I mean, he played 2 games, and Argentina, and the next one, I don't know, Canada, or I don't know. He was so tired, you know, and we got a 0-0, and that was like a good thing. But it's a nightmare. I mean, he's just so clever, and he works. He's working. I mean, I think the manager, his manager, the actual manager, he said this week, I read an interview, he said Messi for the first 5 minutes, when the game just starts, he works, and he's just looking the defense, where they go in, and after 5 minutes, he knows, you know, how to, you know, kill them. That's, you know, it's crazy. I mean,
Genius.
He's a genius, you know what I mean?
Genius, yeah. Dale, we're sort of 1.5 seasons into the Premier League. Have you been on a pitch with someone and gone, he's different class?
Clear as day it was. The Liverpool game when we played against Coutinho at the Amex. It's a bad day for me, that. I think he's like similar. Obviously, I don't think he's on Messi's level, but I think he's a similar type player. So small, so slight, but so quick, nimble. And for a tall player, you know, he's just a nightmare for me, someone like that. But yeah, I think he's been head and shoulders of anyone I've played against.
And is it speed of thought with these players? Are they thinking a little bit quicker than everyone else where they're going to be?
That as well as, you know, their ability to move quickly. You know, if someone's thinking about it before you and they can move quicker than you, you know, it's a hard task, you know, to stop anyone who can play like that.
Yeah. Right, next, anyone?
This is for all of you. What's been the highlight or best moment of your career so far, if you have to pick one?
The away win at Selhurst Park this Saturday.
Probably, it's got to be a promotion. Huh?
For me, yes. For me, a promotion. In my case, because I was in 2-3 playoffs, getting older, and I didn't see the chance to get promoted. And we've been together long time, and I've been seeing the boys working so hard, and for me, of course I got promoted in Spain as well, or for myself, playing Champions League. I'm gonna remember all my life, the first time that I was standing there and the Champions League, it was wow, now it's a dream come through, but the promotion, it was just unreal.
I think the way we did it, I think with the disappointment we had with the previous season and the way we didn't do it, that changing room after the Middlesbrough game especially, it was just horrible to see grown men, in a situation that we were in, people crying, and to come back and do it and react the way we did straight away, first time of asking, it was just special.
Was it nice to see Mike Dean again last Saturday?
I've seen him a few times since then. I actually saw him in the airport once.
Did you? Did you have a word?
Yeah, I spoke to him briefly.
Just to wish him a nice holiday. I guess to answer all this question, Leon, must be the World Cup, is it?
For me, yeah, but it's hard to narrow it down to just the World Cup. The promotion, when I joined Darmstadt, after I was jobless, was sick as well, because that team just got promoted from the third league in the playoffs, and then we just went up straight to the first league, so Bundesliga. Probably the game that got Nigeria to the World Cup was my most emotional one, because I was just breaking down in tears because I was realizing I'm going to go there actually. So I would say that probably was emotionally, that was probably my highlight so far.
Great. Neil, you've got 100 questions, come on.
I'll just probably ask who's had to all of you, who's had the biggest influence on your career and in what way maybe?
I would say my dad. For me, now that I'm a father, I realize how much he sacrificed, just driving 5-6 hours every week, everywhere, to make me to see my dream come through, it's giving his time up, for my dream, and that's, I think, is my biggest influence.
Yeah, parents are obviously a big one, isn't he? I think I had a youth team coach who probably had the most influence in football terms. So you don't really get these sort of coaches around anymore. You were real throwback, old school. Used to make us run the stands. Real throwback. Used to go on a track. This is a normal training week. I've been on a track for how long now? And he really, cemented my, mentality to go on and play at a decent level.
I think my family first, so that's my parents and my sister, who always have been very, very supportive, and there's been a lot of downs on my way, so probably them, and then two coaches I had actually in my first senior year in Berlin, and then I think I was pro already in Bremen. There was another coach who just gave me that very, very, they just believed in me, and as well as my Darmstadt coach. So when I was in situations where I was doubting myself a little bit, they were the ones who just kept me pushing, besides my family always. So I wouldn't say I owe them, but I'm very grateful that I met them.
It's interesting actually, because I think that football has changed a lot, obviously, so it's a very obvious thing to say, but when you're an old person like me, when I was playing, you played football at school, so if that question had been asked to me, I would have said, Mr. Matthews, our first 11 school teacher. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to play in the first 11 when you were in the sixth form or whatever, and then if you were any good, you got to play for the county, so you played at county level, and then if you were really special, then maybe one of the local football teams would take a look at you. Mm-hmm. But sort of coming through school, it's changing. Kids get picked up so quickly into a we've got 3 different countries really here. So Dale, you grew up in Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice.
Yeah, lovely. So he doesn't mind the weather here. Okay, when did you get taken out of? Were you picked up at school to go and play at an academy, or did you just play through school?
No, I did an academy route from, I think it was like 12, 13, but then I got released from there, and then I literally just did the school football, and I played Sunday league football for like my local club, and he actually wrote a letter to Berry. He wrote a letter asking for a trial, and so they said, you can come for that trial match. So obviously there's 22 players, every one of them's on trial. Luckily I scored twice, got asked back for I think it was a 6-week trial. After 2 weeks, signed a scholarship, which is obviously 2 years, and then obviously the rest is history. But I was very, very fortunate, because I think by the time you get to 16, if you're not in an academy, I think it's quite old age nowadays. So yeah, looking back, I was very, very fortunate at that time.
Yeah. Leon, how was it for you?
I don't know if you would say I played Sunday League probably until I was 20, probably, I think. I don't know if you refer to that as Sunday League. I was in a local club in Berlin throughout the academy level, then transferred to a Turkish club in Berlin, where everybody said don't do it. That was my first senior year, and I think we were like 6th division, and we played against some under 23s. So there was Hertha BSC from Berlin, a team from Rostock. They played 2nd division back then, their first team. So there were always some scouts when we played them, and I made the jump to first league football when I was 20 actually.
See that seems quite late. So were you earning a living doing something else?
No, I just did my school first. I finished school with 17, I think, or 18, I'm not sure. Let me think, 2007. Yeah.
Okay.
No, 19, sorry. And then I worked actually a little bit, because my parents were like, okay, sign in for university. And I was like, I'm not feeling university. So give me like 1 year in football, let me see how far I can get. Because I always said when I was like 16 or something, in the next 5 years I'm going to be at least in an under 23 team somewhere in Germany. So I started to work at Zara actually in the kids department, but I didn't even finish the trial time. That was like 2 or 3 months, because then the first offers came in. That was around winter. So I just said, okay, I can't do it anymore, because my coach back then, he said, look, you missed 2 training sessions a week. I can't justify that in front of the other lads that want to play. So we need to find a solution. So I just said, okay, I'll quit, and then got a professional contract at the end of the season.
Brilliant. Rest is history. Eh? And how was it in Spain, Bruno?
I was living in a small village. I was playing 2 leagues. I was playing futsal league until I was like 14, 15. I'm playing 11-a-side as well. And after, when I was 14, I moved to another city. I had to leave home, because of course, if I wanted to be professional, I had to take the decision to move to another big city. And since then, to be honest, it went so fast. I signed for a small club. The year after, I signed for a championship club. They had an under 18s, really good one. I had a good season again, and I signed for Espanyol de Barcelona. And I mean, in 3 years, I had my debut, I think, in La Liga when I was 19, and the first ball that I touched, it was terrible. I'm gonna remember all my life. But yeah, it was really, really fast. But I mean, I didn't play like high. Like I was in my village that we were like 5,000. Well, we are 5,000 people. It was really. That's why now I'm seeing a lot of parents. They asking me, no, because my kid and stuff. I say, listen, I was 14 and I was still playing. Like in in the streets. You know what I mean? That's not a big thing.
But at 14, your desire to become a professional footballer was. Did the whole family? Did you say we need to move? All of
Yeah,
us?
I moved.
You moved on your own.
Yeah. I want to remember all my life because I had a trial as well, and I was sitting outside of that pitch with my mom and my dad, and they said yes. Are you sure? And I said, because you have to move to this town. And I said, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I want to come here and play. That's when I'm going to the schools. I always say the same. You know, when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old, I was saying to my dad I wanted to be the best football player in the world. You know, and I set up that dream like so high. Of course, I didn't even get close to that, but you know, I was working so hard to reach there, and that's maybe why, you know, I've been like being able to play, you know, at this level, because you know, you set there, you reach there, you know, but if you set here, you're gonna reach here. I was always obsessed about football.
But don't you ever, in a moment, sometimes go, God, I'm playing in the Premier League. This is amazing. When you look back at that, you know, the Bury situation, you think, now it's not that long ago, or you signed for the Turkish club, and then you go, oh man, I'm playing in the English Premier League. This is incredible.
Yeah, I think day to day, just get on with what you got to do. But I think there'll come a time when, hopefully, when you retire and you know, you look back and think, you know, I was actually all right.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't that bad of a player actually. But yeah, obviously, I don't think about it right now.
Yeah.
You just try and do your best from day to day and week to week, and you know, I'm sure one day I'll look back and think I did all right.
Right, I'm taking up all your questions. Who's got another one? Anyone? Hands up.
No, so for Dale, just wondering, like, when you played West Ham, what was it like to score your first Premier League goal, like there, especially 2-2 draw?
Lucky.
As you can see, I got a little stick for it. Obviously, not for not scoring last year. Scored against Palace, so that's all right.
That's all right. Knocked him out of the cup.
Yeah, it was obviously a relief more than anything, especially because Duffield kept scoring as well. He was on my case. Yeah, more relief than anything. You know, I think it was a tough game, especially playing against a team that was in and around us at the time. And you know, it was the opening goal, and obviously Duff scored again. But yeah, it was just an important match, and you know, obviously it's good to get that off my back as well.
Talking of important matches, someone mentioned it earlier and should have followed up then. I mean, Dale, you were on the pitch on Saturday against Huddersfield, and I wasn't, obviously. But in the stand, you could feel the palpable tension.
Yeah, of course.
With about 10 minutes to go, were you thinking, this is just, it's just not going to happen?
Yeah, you see those games, and I'm sure everyone's playing those games as well, where you think, you know, we've created enough. And it only takes one chance, and you could concede. But yeah, I think we've all played in those games where that's actually happened, and thankfully we did enough. You know, I thought we should have been more than 1-0, but you know, everyone knew what sort of game it was before the game. You could feel it in the first half. You know, the fans were nervous. You know, sometimes it translates on the pitch. But yeah, we stuck to our job. Like I said, we did our basics. We went back to what we were good at. And that was obviously nicking a 1-0 win.
And El Capitan, what are you like as a supporter? Because you sit there behind the dugout when you're not involved. Do you hate it?
Oh, hate it.
It's the worst, isn't it?
It's the worst feeling. I mean, because you cannot affect anything. You know, like from inside the pitch, it's much easier. But I was so released, you know, when we score, and because as Dale was saying, it's one of those games that you see like you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and always the other team is going to have one chance. Always is how it is, especially in England. And I was thinking, you know, please, it's just no one of those games. And at the end, you know, I think it was payoff, you know, because we were pushing so hard, you know, second half, and we deserved to win the game.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Anyone else? Who we got? Here we go.
I'm sure you guys have all experienced like injury setbacks and everything, and regarding like setbacks in general. Regarding setbacks in general, how do you bounce back from them and try and get back to your best?
I had a bad one, yeah. I did my ankle, that's a while back now, isn't it? I think on the first season I signed here, I think I played for 3 months and then did my ankle.
Remember that game?
Yeah, it was at Yeovil at home.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a period of 3 months to be out. Got to like 3 month stage, and I was no nearer to getting back than day one. And I had like CRPS. It's like a nerve condition, what we didn't really know about it at the start. So obviously everything just like prolonged. And I was seeing a specialist, and he kept saying, "Well, there's not really a return date for it. It's just ready when it's ready." So 10 months down the line, I made my comeback against Cardiff away. But I'd say for that 7 months, I didn't really move, purely because of the fear. And then I went on a walk a couple of times, and because it was a nerve condition, the signals from my brain to my ankle were like getting confused, I think he described it. So yeah, I didn't really do a lot for 7 months. It was, it was a test, a very difficult test for me in my life, and I've not looked back and touched wood, my ankle's been all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you were pretty down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it must just the not knowing, wasn't it? Was the
it's the unknown, yeah. I think when someone says, if I'd have got told from day one it would be 10 months, then I could have digested it. I could have dealt with that a lot better. But when you're working, what it's like when you're injured and you're on your own. You got your own physio and everyone's out training, and you're doing your work as much you can do as your best of your ability at the time. And when you don't know if that's the last day of it, or if I build up for 4 weeks and then you go back to week 1 again, I think that was the most the difficult time probably in my life.
That's why to have passion for what you're doing, it's so important, because it drives you to come back, because if what you're doing you don't like it or whatever, you give up. But because he had that passion, he loves the game, it's just that helps you to to carry on and fight every day.
I mean, this won't mean much to you young whippersnappers here, but as you get older, it takes longer to recover and do things. Bruno, have you found?
Thank you.
Well, Has it?
It takes much longer.
Taking longer between games.
I'm telling you, it takes much longer. Play a game like at day 8 or whatever, like 2 days after you okay. Right now, and we've got like our facilities, as you've been seeing, like it's crazy. It helps. It helps really a lot. To me, it gets like at least three days, to recover like 100%. But yeah, of course. But it helps. To be honest, now we can see a lot of players getting old and playing high level, because in terms of gym sessions, in terms of food, nutrition, in terms of recovery, ice bath, recovery boots, like everything. We've got everything. It helps you, and we've got so much information now, and that helps all the players to carry on longer.
We're not taking the mickey because he doesn't deserve it, but Dale, he is remarkable for his age, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I think when you asked him the captain question earlier on, from when I walked through the door, he's always been the best trainer. When he wasn't captain, he's always been the most professional, and it's no fluke why he's still playing in the Premier League at his age, and I think he'll carry on.
Yeah. Leon, have you had any serious injury time out?
Yeah, my foot. How is it? Metatarsal?
Yeah.
Metatarsal?
Metatarsal, yeah. Back in 2014. So that was at my debut actually for Nigeria, and I came on 20 minutes after. Had a silly crash with the advertisement banner that was very close to the sideline, and then I was sidelined for 4 months actually, and that's the time or the period I was talking about. I just tried to stay positive and keep my eyes on the prize. I think that's also what Dale mentioned. You just have to focus on something. It's one thing is passion, but you also have to set goals for yourself. And if you're working towards something, even though his case might have been a bit harder, then you just keep on pushing because you want to be there again. and maybe you also want to prove some critics wrong, or like some. There's always some negative people around you, not friends, but just some people who just say, he will not come back, or he will never be in the same shape again, and then you're just like, okay, I'll prove you
I
wrong.
think that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, for me it's a motivation, because I'm like, okay, then you thought wrong because you don't know me, and that's just what keeps you going. And about Bruno as well, like it's amazing. I've had one guy seeing him who works a lot as well, like as a therapist, and he was like, he's like a miracle. Seriously.
Another coffee.
He is a miracle.
I have to pick the coffee.
He's our Messiah.
I don't drink coffee. Hot chocolate, please.
Right, listen, we can't keep the boys too much longer, so there was some on the front row, did you know?
Obviously, we're experiencing quite a good run in the FA Cup at the moment. So what is the kind of feeling in the dressing room at the moment, and with the results that you've had and looking forward? You know, has there been talk about how far you guys can possibly go? Or are you just taking it one game at a time?
Yeah, we're taking game at time, especially because, as we were talking earlier, you know, in 2019 we didn't win a game in the Premier League. You know, maybe if we were in a more comfortable position, like I don't know, where Wolves, for example, right now they are, massive gap with relegation. You could just focus or talk about FA Cup. Right now, for us, we have to take every game as it comes, and for example, this weekend is a massive game. Not just because it's a derby, it's because we need those 3 points.
All right, I think we'll just do one more, Thomas. Unless anyone's got a desperate question they'd like to get in, let's just do this.
So like in England, you don't have a winter break. You have the FA Cup, the Prem, the League Cup. Do you ever feel like it's too intense? Is it hard to always motivate yourself if you have so many games?
Yeah, there's obviously busy schedules. Obviously with the Christmas period, I think I play three games in five, 6 days.
Yeah.
Unless you're Shane.
Unless you're clever about it. No, but it's obviously very demanding. But I think it helps playing at the level that we do. Bruno's mentioned the facilities, but I think, especially in the Championship season, 46 games is a lot more. It just helps you to recover a little bit more, playing 38 season. But a winter break is coming, and it'll be welcomed.
Winter break.
Yeah. No? Winter break.
Apparently,
that's like the whole of the year.
It's not gonna be in Christmas or whatever. I think it's not fair. That winter break, it would be fair for the English teams when they play Champions League games. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be fair, because when they play against Spanish teams, especially German teams, that they've got a massive a big break. It would be like,
no, it's decreasing seriously. Yeah. When I started as a professional, I think we always had 2 weeks, between 13 and 16 days off. That was 2008, 2009, that season. And I think meanwhile, it's there's a trend, it gets shorter and shorter. You start training again earlier. You have your last game maybe around the 20th of December, and you start training again. I mean, it's still a nice break, but you start training again maybe on the 29th, 30th, 31st.
I sign it.
I know. No, but I'm just saying it used to be much longer. Yeah. And I had that conversation with one of my former teammates last year that probably the trend is going towards England, shorter and shorter breaks. Not probably no break at all, but it's going to be short as well. 100%.
Good. All right. Well, just one thing that we haven't mentioned, just brought it up there just quickly, because obviously we're keeping our eye on the Premier League matches, and a big match on Saturday. And after that, one match, one win. It's the semi-finals of the FA Cup. It seems bizarre, doesn't it? What do we think, Skipper?
Good times. As we said, for us the most important game is on Saturday now. But after that, of course, we know how important is FA Cup for our fans, how important it is in England, and we are one game away from Wembley. That would be remarkable, and we will play like it was the final of the FA Cup. It's gonna be a big game, and it's gonna be, we know already because we've been there at Millwall. We know how difficult it's gonna be. you know, it's a really tough place to go.
Okay, well, best wishes with that one.
Thank
Best
you.
wishes at the weekend. You lot have been brilliant. Fantastic questions. Well done. Thank you very much indeed. But let's have a round of applause for our 3 seagulls up there. Thank you for your time.